There's one thing we all believe in, that home is the safest place in the world. But sometimes, within those familiar walls, a whisper in the dark, a quiet footstep, or a shadow that shouldn't be there, becomes the beginning of a nightmare that never truly ends. In tonight's video, I'm going to tell you 3 true stories about stalkers, about things that hide in the dark, and about the terrifying moments when you realize you're not alone. Story 1. The voice that wasn't my brother's. My name is Quinn. This happened when I was in 11th grade on what started out as just another ordinary night in the 2-story house I shared with my dad and younger brother Reese. It was early winter. Rain tapped softly at the windows, and it was so dark outside that even the streetlights couldn't cut through the fog. Around 9 p.m., I went down to the basement to work on a literature essay. The basement was cold and a bit damp, lit only by the dull yellow glow of an old ceiling light. I opened my laptop, put on some soft music, and started typing about Dorian Gray. Everything was quiet, until I heard a voice calling down from upstairs. "Quinny. Quinny. Come up." I jumped a little, then laughed. It was my brother's voice, Reese. He always called me Quinny when he was trying to annoy me. I figured he had just gotten back from swim practice and was looking for a way to mess with me. I called back, "I'm busy. If you need something, come down here." No response. I shrugged and got back to work. A few minutes later, the exact same voice echoed again, identical in tone, pitch, and pacing. "Quinny. Quinny. Come up." This time I froze. There was something off. The voice had no emotion. It didn't sound like my brother anymore. It sounded like a recording. I stood up and made my way upstairs. The first floor was empty. No shoes, no backpack, no sign that anyone had come home. Rain still tapped against the windows. There was no car in the driveway, and that's when the chill ran down my spine. The voice came again, this time from the 2nd floor above me where all the lights were off. "Quinny. Quinny. Come up." I stood frozen at the base of the stairs. My heart started pounding. There was no way Reese was up there. I hadn't heard the door open. No footsteps. No car pulling in. My dad and I had locked every door from the inside. I slowly climbed the stairs. Each step creaked under my weight like the whole house was holding its breath. When I reached the top, everything was pitch black. I reached for the light switch. Nothing. No flicker. The circuit hadn't tripped, the light just didn't turn on. I whispered, "Reese, if this is a joke, cut it out. Come on." Silence. 1 second. 2 seconds. Then the voice came again, but this time it was right next to my ear, like it was coming from just behind a thin door. "Quinny. Quinny. Come up." It was deeper. Rougher. It wasn't my brother anymore. It was something or someone trying to sound like him. I turned and ran downstairs, heart pounding out of my chest. As soon as I reached the living room, I heard the garage door open. My dad stepped inside, soaked from the rain, and right behind him was Reese, just getting home. I collapsed onto the floor, shaking. Reese asked what was wrong, but I couldn't say anything except one sentence over and over. "There's someone upstairs." My dad searched the entire house. Nothing. No signs of a break-in. No footprints. But the door to my room on the 2nd floor was slightly ajar. I remembered clearly I had shut it earlier. That night we all slept on the 1st floor. And I swear to this day, I will never answer a voice calling from the dark unless I can see who's calling. Story 2. The glass door and the shadow in the pantry. After my father passed away at the age of 70, I was the only one in the family who agreed to take in his African gray parrot, Kevin, his best friend. Kevin didn't just talk, he understood things. He could say hello, food, thank you, and even his own name. I kept Kevin's cage in the downstairs rec room, the lowest level of the house. Every night I'd sit and watch TV down there with him, and around 10 p.m., I'd cover his cage, turn off the lights, and head upstairs. Kevin could be a little noisy, sure, but he'd never disturbed me at night. Until one cold night in December. I was dozing off when I heard its soft squeaks, the sound of something brushing the bars of the cage, and faint broken words coming from downstairs. I live alone, and I always sleep with my bedroom door open just in case I need to hear something. Kevin had never made noise this late before. I jumped out of bed and walked downstairs. Kevin wasn't perched up high where he normally slept. He was bobbing his head rapidly on the lower rung, muttering, "Hello. What's up? Kevin. Kevin." It felt like he was trying to warn me. I offered him some food, he didn't touch it. I gently covered the cage again, hoping he'd settle down. But just as I stepped into the kitchen, I heard it again. Scratching. Soft, deliberate metal against metal. I turned around. Kevin was still awake, head bobbing, repeating those words like a broken, glitched-out recording. And this time I knew he was trying to alert me. Then I heard a faint clicking noise coming from the pantry beside Kevin's cage. I approached slowly, hand hovering over the switch for the frosted glass light outside the door. And when I flicked the light on, my blood turned cold. There was a shadow, a person standing inside the pantry. Without thinking, I flung the door open and screamed, yanking the figure out. It was a man, bearded, filthy, reeking of rot. He hit the ground hard. He fought back, tried to claw at my face, but I pinned him down by the neck, punching wildly, screaming, "Who are you? What are you doing in my house?" Kevin was going absolutely berserk in his cage, screaming and flapping his wings so hard the whole room felt like it was shaking. Once I had him pinned, I grabbed my phone and called 911. The cops arrived within minutes and cuffed him. No ID, no belongings. Just a homeless man who had broken in to escape the cold and maybe steal what he could. Later, I found the kitchen raided, peanut butter jars, open cookies, sausage packs torn through. He'd done all of it right there, just feet away from Kevin's cage. And I still shudder to think if Kevin hadn't made noise, I would have slept through the night. Completely unaware there was someone hiding in my house. Kevin saved me. And now every time I hear him say his name in the darkness, I know it's not just a parrot speaking. It's a sign that maybe somehow, my father is still watching over me. Story 3. The Faceless Woman in the Abandoned Restroom. About 15 years ago, my best friend Jackson and I decided to explore an abandoned bungalow colony deep in the woods near Route 209, New York. It was an old, decaying resort, overgrown with weeds, with a drained pool, rusted playground equipment, and rows of crumbling cabins. We didn't dare go during the day, in case someone spotted us, so we chose to explore late at night. Each of us brought a flashlight and a walkie-talkie to stay in touch. At first, it was exciting, but things changed when I got separated from Jackson. He always moved slower, so I had gone ahead to check out what looked like the main building and old office. Every door was locked. I called him over the radio, no answer. Maybe I'd gone too far. That's when I noticed a smaller building nearby, a public restroom. It had no door, just two pitch-black entryways. On the cracked concrete floor were long, dark red streaks leading from the outside all the way into the corner stall. I'm not saying it was blood, but it didn't look like paint. And it definitely didn't look like something that should have been there. I radioed Jackson again. As soon as I released the button, I heard the beep of a reply, coming from inside the restroom. I froze. I thought Jackson must be hiding in there trying to mess with me. I was just about to step inside when a raspy, cold voice came from behind me. "Don't go in there. I've never stepped into that toilet. I turned around. It was Jackson. He was pale, out of breath, eyes wide. Before I could even ask what happened, the walkie-talkie beeped again. From inside the restroom. We stared at each other, frozen. Neither of us moved. Then a shadow passed across the narrow light gap in the women's side, like someone was standing there, watching us. We bolted. Ran across the overgrown lot, through tall grass, all the way back to Route 209. It took me a minute to catch my breath before I asked, "Where the hell were you?" Jackson told me he had been exploring one of the bungalows when he heard footsteps, and suddenly, an older woman came charging at him. He couldn't see her face, just long, flowing white hair. He panicked and ran, dropped his flashlight and his walkie-talkie. I felt my skin crawl. That woman, who was she? Who picked up the walkie-talkie and tried to mimic my voice? And why were there blood-like stains on the restroom floor? Maybe it was a homeless person, a drug addict, someone mentally unstable living in the ruins. But if that's the case, why didn't she have a face? If you've ever thought ghost stories were nothing but fiction, then after tonight you might start seeing the darkness a little differently. Remember, silence doesn't mean nothing is watching you. And if you ever hear someone calling your name from a place no one should be, don't ever answer. Thanks for listening. If you want to hear more scary true stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next video.